What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, it's your homie, FuturisticMike, and I'm back with another Power Book 3 Raising Kanan video if you're new. Now, this is going to be the review and recap for Power Book 3 Raising Kanan, Season 1, Episode 3, titled Stick and Move. If you're a fan of Power, if you love Power, hit the like on this video. If you're new to my channel and this is the first time you're finding me, subscribe and turn on those post notifications so when I post videos on Power Book 3 Raising Kanan, you get them. Now, the description for this episode reads, still reeling from a shocking death, Kanan pushes his way into the drug game with Marvin's help, while Rock plots to take down her competition. Now, another solid episode, and that's not surprising at all. I knew it was going to be good. I mean, when aren't these episodes good in this show? So I knew it. I'm not going to really try to make this video super long, man. Like, all my recaps for this show so far have been over like 25 minutes long, so I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible. I'm just gonna get right into the recap. Now, when the episode first starts, we see Scrappy outside. He's just outside with his boys, and we see some drug dealing going on. And then we see the cops pull up, and we see Malcolm, and he chases Scrappy through some stores, alleys, and stuff like that, but he ends up losing them. We see that Shannon arrests somebody and Malcolm loses Scrappy. You know, he gets out of breath and Scrappy escapes and he manages to keep his fresh kicks clean. Now, next we see Rock and Symphony smashing. Of course, we've been seeing them smashing a lot lately, actually. And after they get done, you know, Symphony says he has to go, he has some work to do. And she's like, man, I got a Macintosh you can use. You can just go right out there and use it. Then we see Kanan looking at Derek Washington's picture, and it says 1975 to 1991. It's showing a funeral service, and he's just looking all sad. He gets up, you know, he's eating and everything, and he sees Symphony on his Macintosh, and he's like, yo, who are you? And Symphony's like, yo, my bad, you're Kanan, right? And Kanan was not happy about it, but Rock says, man, who is you? Like, this is my house. You're talking to my friend Symphony like that after I told him he could stay here and go on the computer. And she's like, the big question is, why are you not in school? That's the most important question right there. And he says, I needed some time, talking about because D-Wiz died and he needed some time. So she says she's gonna take Kanan to school, and Symphony says, yo, my bad. And Rock says, don't worry about it, I'll handle my son. So they get in the car, and Rock looks down and sees on Kanan's shoes, he has rest in peace D-Wiz. And she's like, look, I know you're upset about your friend D-Wiz, but I'm trying to tell you, these streets don't play. You don't want to hear me though. She's basically just trying to tell him what's up for him to keep his eyes open and stuff like that before she takes him to school. I gotta say, Rock is a good mother, man. She always wants to make sure her son is protected. Now, next, we see Malcolm and Shannon talking to their higher up, the captain. And he's pretty much saying that, you know, he wants all the big bust. The shooters, the drug bust, the cash, all that stuff, like the real big bust. He said, don't ever come to him with some little shit. He's tired of their games, I guess. So they gotta bring him something real or he's gonna be on their ass. Now, next we see Rock, Lulu, and Marvin in the car, and they're talking about business. And Rock is saying that they need something that they can grow into. You know, they're talking about Unique's corners and their competition and stuff like that. They're trying to start an empire. And, you know, Lulu's saying, why can't we use the bodega? And she's saying because it's not ready yet. You know, security cameras are still being installed and stuff like that. So they're just talking about business, of course, as usual. Now, next we see your boy Dean. I guess he is the plug. He supplies Rock and Unique. It's funny because when it shows him, the screen pauses and we hear 50 Cent talking, and he's talking about who this dude is, you know, how his business is and stuff like that. It's funny because that's D'Angelo Barksdale from The Wire, man. And I'm gonna make a separate video on this because I gotta talk about that. It's crazy because he's a kingpin in this show. We see Rock talking to him, and you know, he knows that things are going on with her and Unique, and she says, look, that ain't going on no more. Like, me and Unique are cool. And he's just trying to make sure everything is good because he supplies both of them. He don't want no trouble. And he says, if any more problems occur, we're gonna have to revisit our arrangement. I really hope he's in more episodes than one because I really love this actor. I truly, truly do. Now next we see Malcolm at the doctor, and his doctor is telling him that he has some form of leukemia and he's really sick. So he has to get a hold of some family so they can help him. He said his parents are dead and he only has cousins in Alabama. She said that he has no choice but to try to get a hold of family to help him or it's gonna get worse. And he says that his cousins in Alabama hate him. But she tells him to try to get a hold of them. But when he's leaving the doctor's office, he says, at least I know it's not gonna be the smoking and drinking that kills me. And when he's leaving, he looks real upset, man. That look on his face, he knows this is real and there's nothing he can do. I'm just praying it gets better for him, man, for real, because I really like this character. Now, next we see Jukebox and Nicole. They're in the mall or whatever, and Nicole wants Jukebox to sing. There's this place called Song World, and Jukebox doesn't want to, but Nicole runs in there, so Jukebox has no choice. Now, next we see Malcolm come out to the car, and Shannon says, look, I'm tired of waiting on you. I'm not going to be waiting around all the time. And Malcolm tells her what it is. He says, look, you know you wasn't supposed to be a cop. I know that, and the hood knows that. Every single person knows that shit. You was supposed to be a nurse. You're just trying to follow what everybody in your family was doing. So he told her what it was. He set her straight, and he said, man, I'm Malcolm Howard. I hold it the fuck down, and every single person knows that I don't play. He was pretty much saying he's about that business, and he said he's the reckoning. Now, next we see Jukebox and Nicole, and they're picking their songs. And then next we see them go up there, and Jukebox is singing, and she's singing kind of quietly, and Nicole starts singing. So that ups Jukebox's confidence, and she starts singing even more, even better, and they both start singing together. So Nicole can sing, man. We didn't know that. Now we do. So hopefully they go somewhere with that in the future. Maybe we see them sing together a lot in the future. That's gonna be cool. You know, we see a little screen, we see them up on that screen, and we see a little background. So this is a little video they can take home and watch it 20, 30 years in the future and laugh about it. Now next we see Marvin walk into Tony's office, and she says, look, there's my knight in shining armor. And he has a dog with him, and she's like, are you gonna introduce me to your friend? And he says, this is LT. You know, somebody gave the dog to him as a payment. You know, somebody was behind on some money, so they gave him a dog instead. And he says, this dog is now yours. So she's giving the dog to Tony. He said he named the dog after a football player or something like that. But he tells her to keep the dog away from the microwave, making a joke. And she really appreciates the new dog. And she's like, look, you like me, don't you? And he's like, yeah, I like you. I like the club. I like everything. You know, just joking around, being Marvin's silly ass. You know, he's always joking around, making jokes and stuff. Marvin is one silly dude. And she's like, no, you like me. You do for sure. And she grabs his shit and she starts playing with his stuff. And I guess she went down on him. So we didn't really get to see or whatever, but you know what was about to happen. Now next we see Scrappy and Kanan playing video games in the trap. And Scrappy's talking, saying that he was running and he kept his sneakers clean and shit. And then Kanan's just sitting there and he says, look, what'd you hear about D-Wiz? And Scrappy says, I heard that he shot Buck 20 and people got at him as payback for Buck 20. And Kanan's like, yeah, I heard the same. Now next we see Jukebox walking with Nicole, and they're laughing and joking about the video and stuff. And Jukebox says she has to go. And Nicole says, are you going with the people you steal with? And Juke says, yeah, I have to. And Nicole wants Juke to stay there with her. And Juke says, no, I gotta go, and she leaves. Now next we see Kanan looking out the window from the trap, and he sees Davina with her sister again. So he goes outside to talk to her, and he messed up right here, man, because he told Davina all about the stash house and stuff. She was like, what are you doing here? Whose house is this? And he's like, man, this ain't nobody's house. This is just the house we kick it at from time to time, me and my boys. And now she knows where this spot is at. So that was not smart, because as soon as she finds out about his business, it's over with, man. She might find out that Kanan has something to do with Buck 20, and she might blow up his spot. So that was real dumb that he told her. That was real dumb that he went outside in the first place, man. He should have waited until he was at his spot to go and talk to Davina. And Davina wants to know the truth. She says, man, did you know your friend D-Wiz had something to do with Buck 20's death? And Kanan's like, nah, man, but it's messed up what happened to D-Wiz, for real. That's messed up. And she has a drill in her stroller, and she's getting ready to sell it because she said diapers ain't cheap. So when she's getting ready to leave, Kanan makes a crazy face, man, like he really feels bad for her after she said she was selling her dad's drill or whatever. Like, Kanan really felt for Davina. Now next we see Rock meeting with Dean's people, and she wants some information on Unique's operation. Dude said he has a wife and a couple girlfriends, and he's trying to move down to South Carolina or something. And she hands him some money, and she's like, look, this is enough to move your wife and at least one of them girlfriends down there with you. Now next we see Juke with some of her peoples, and they got on bandanas and all kinds of stuff. And you know, these people with the delivery trucks, they walk away, and her peoples go in the truck and take whatever they need, polo and all kinds of stuff. And one of the security guards sees what's going on, and one of Jukebox's people beat him up. And she's like, man, get out of here. And he's like, that's why you don't send a female to do a dude's job. And she's like, get out of here for real. We see her with the box cutter and everything. They tried to make you think that Jukebox did something on the trailer, but she didn't do shit. But we gonna see Jukebox turn to the bad side, man, in the rest of the season. She's gonna transform. We're definitely gonna see her change. Now next we see Rock meeting with Malcolm, and she tells him that she has some information. And he's like, okay, I want it. I want to know everything. And she tells him where Unique's re-up location is gonna be at. And he's like, why are you telling me this? And she's like, because you're a cop, right? You're a detective. Do your job. I can't believe she snitched like that, man. Like, everybody in the Power universe has snitched so far, except for Tommy, man. Tommy Egan has never snitched. That's the only dude in this entire universe who has never opened his mouth. Now next we see the studio, and some dude is recording, and we see Crown Camacho. We get introduced to him. You know, Lulu walks in with Jessica, and Lulu's delivering some cocaine to Crown. We see what's going down in the studio. You know, we get a little taste of Crown's life, seeing how his life is and stuff. And he's showing people how he gets down. And we see Lou over with some dude asking questions. Jessica introduces herself to Crown, and you know, Crown's doing the line and everything. And she says, yo, did you tell him that my brother can rap? And Lou says, no, it didn't come across my mind. But she's telling Crown that Famous can rap. And he's like, okay, bet, bring him by. I'm all about the talent. I live for it. Now next we see Marvin looking around Jukebox's room. And Kanan's like, what are you doing in here? And he says, I'm looking for my belt. Jukebox is always taking my shit. And he's like, man, what are you doing in my house? Kanan says that him and Jukebox share a key sometimes. And he's like, nah, nigga, not no more. Give me my key. So he took the key from Kanan, and Kanan wants to talk business. He says, if you help me, I'll help you and my mom. I'll talk to her and tell her to trust you more and stuff. And at first he ain't about it, but he agrees. Then next we see Rock putting some clothes away in Kanan's drawer. She comes across D-Wiz's funeral service paper, and she's sitting down looking at it, feeling bad. And Jukebox is just standing behind her with this garbage bag full of clothes. And she's like, yo. And Rock looks at her and she says, I was standing here for a minute waiting for you to look up. And Rock says, I know you ain't collecting cans. And she's like, nah, it's just some clothes in here. So they sit down and talk and have a heart to heart. And, you know, Rock says, do you got somebody? Because, you know, she's acting like she has somebody in her life. And she says, yeah. And Rock says, I got somebody too. And they just have a little moment, man. It seems like Jukebox and Rock were close at one point. And Jukebox tells Rock not to tell her dad, because, you know, her dad's always in her business and stuff, and she don't want her dad to know that she has a girlfriend. So the two of them hug, and it was just a cool moment. Now next we see Lulu walking with Jessica, and Jessica's like, man, why was you being so quiet? And basically Lou is just salty that she was talking to Crown about her brother. But then he's like, yo, I get it. You a hustler. You know, you was trying to get your hustle on. And she was telling Lulu that she loves everything about him. And he's like, how? You don't even know me for real. And she says, no, I do. I know you got talent, potential, and all that. And he's like, man, I could just have a short ass life in the south side of Jamaica and not go nowhere. And she's like, nah, I know you going places. And she's pretty much saying that she's gonna ride with them. And she just made him feel better, man. It made Lulu feel a lot better, and then they kissed. She's about to be your boy Lulu's new girl, and it's gonna be cool to see because I really like Jessica so far, man. She's a dope character. Now next we see Malcolm bringing this information that he got from Rock to the captain, and the captain's like, man, why should I trust this? Like, everything else you guys have done so far hasn't led to nowhere. And Shannon spoke up for him. She's like, if Malcolm says he knows what's going on, that's what's going on. So he said he's gonna put his guys on it. He don't want to call his bosses, because if this thing goes south, that's his ass. Now next we see Juke, Kanan, and Famous at the park. And Famous is only interested in hearing these dudes rap. You know, he hears these dudes and he goes over and he does his thing. And we hear Kanan and Juke talking, and Juke is smart as hell. She's telling Kanan how to talk, you know, how to approach people and everything. She was saying to make it seem like, you know, obvious, but not so obvious. Like, she really knew what she was talking about when she was giving advice to Kanan about selling his bag. Because Marvin gave Kanan 8 grams, so he has to get 8 grams off real quick. Now next we see Rock and Symphony smashing again, yet again. And after they're done, they're pretty much asking each other what they like about each other and stuff like that. You know, Rock is like, why me? And Symphony says, you know, you're different. I can tell you've been through stuff, and that feels familiar. And they're just bonding. We hear Famous rapping, doing his damn thing. And then we see Jukebox trying to sell some of her polo sweaters. And this dude is like, those are fakes. I'm going to call the cops. And she's like, man, get out of here, white boy. And then we see Kanan trying to sell his bag. And he's whispering, yo, I got that coke. And some dudes are like, nah, I'm good. And then this one dude comes up like, man, how much? He's like, a gram for 30. And he's like, for real? Kanan's like, bro, do it look like I'm playing? And he's like, I'm just saying that's a really good price. He's like, how about do 2 for 50? And Kanan makes his first sale, man, makes $50, and he's happy as hell. You know, he flashes the money at Jukebox. Dude walks away, and Kanan has that smile on his face. And then we hear 50 Cent narrating, and Kanan's officially in the game now. Then we see Symphony and Rock talking. You know, Rock is getting ready to leave or whatever, and she's telling Symphony a story about Kanan, you know, about how she had him when she was 16, pretty much telling him that Kanan is her world and nobody will ever come between her and Kanan. And he says that he understands. Now next we see Unique's people waiting to get the bag. They're waiting on the re-up, and they're sitting in the car. One dude's talking about put on that Paula Abdul and shit. Another dude's in the back seat talking about, man, forget Paula Abdul, where's dude at? And dude in the front seat says that Ding's people go around the block like 4 times, you know, just to make sure everything's okay. Then we see Malcolm and Shannon, and Malcolm gets on the radio and tells the van to turn on the AC because they don't want the van fogging up during a stakeout. Man, they're dumb as hell. And Malcolm tells Shannon thanks for having his back, and she says not so bad for a nurse, huh? Now next we see Kanan bringing Davina some groceries that he bought. He made his first little bit of money selling dope, and he went straight and bought Davina some groceries. Now that was definitely nice of Kanan, and she appreciates it, and she kisses him. Next we see the exchange going on, and one of them sees the van with the fogged up window and says 5-0, and they try to dip, and Malcolm and Shannon chase him in the car, and it ends in a police car crashing into their car, and Malcolm runs up to the car with a gun. I'm not sure if they was even in there because it didn't show what happened. Now next we see Rock and Kanan going to D-Wiz's mother's house. You know, they want to remember D-Wiz, and you know, Rock asks if that's okay, and she says yeah, and they go on in. Then we see Marvin and Lulu watching Unique's corners, and they said it's dry. Nobody's on the corner, so their plan worked. Then we see Rock speaking to D-Wiz's mother, you know, trying to make her feel better. They're praying and everything. Kanan's crying, so is his mother, and it's just a sad moment. Then we see Unique riding by. He's like, man, what the hell? Because nobody's on his corners. And we see him riding by Marvin and Lou, and everybody's looking pissed, man. It's an all-out war from this point on. Then we see Kanan crying some more. You know, Rock is holding D-Wiz's mother, and she grabs Kanan's hand, and we hear 50 Cent talking some more, and that's the end of the episode. Now, I tried my best to make this video as quick as possible, but it still ended up being kind of lengthy. My bad, y'all. But, you know, I had to go in depth about some of the stuff that happened. But it was a solid episode, man. 8 out of 10 in my opinion. What did you guys think of this episode? Comment your thoughts down below. Let me know. What are your theories, thoughts, predictions, and everything else for the rest of the season? Keep supporting your boy, and I'll be continuing to bring y'all Power Book 3 Raising Kanan content in the future. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and smash that notification bell so you can never miss a video. If you guys want to donate to the channel, I got links below to the PayPal and Cash App accounts. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me get out of here, y'all. It's your boy, Futuristic Mike, and I'll talk to you on the next one. I'm out. Peace.